Hello, my name is Costa. Ricky Costa.
The name's Plumacher. Alex Plumacher.
And welcome to MSV, Movie Mania. Welcome to MSV Movie Mania. Here we take both critically acclaimed and not so critically acclaimed blockbusters and box office flops, films new and old, and make it our job to either praise the films you love or show you that they might not be so good after all.
The first James Bond film, Dr. No, which premiered in 1962, was the first major motion picture adaptation of Ian Fleming's Bond book series. Dr. No is about one of James Bond's earliest missions, where he is tasked with investigating and stopping Dr. No's plot to disrupt the launch. We were both a little bit confused by this movie, correct?
Yeah. You know, I tried to follow. I understand it's an older movie, and I tried to follow, but I really couldn't.
Yeah. Now, I read up that this was Ian Fleming's third attempt to bring Bond to the film series,
right?
To the film
There was
industry.
a TV special in the '60s of Casino Royale, which was his first book, and then in the '50s, and in the '60s they did a Casino Royale movie, but it was a comedy, and a bad comedy at that. So, Dr. No was the first real James Bond movie.
So I think by the time Dr. No actually became successful, the plot wasn't really there unless people had read the books.
Yes.
So it really just seemed like fanfare.
Yeah, it felt more like a book adaptation than a James Bond movie.
Well, it was a book adaptation.
Well, I know, but it feels like one of those Angels and Demons, something like that. You got the plot was very convoluted. I mean, well, maybe not convoluted so much
It wasn't so much convoluted, it's just that we didn't really have a plot for the majority of the film.
Yeah, it was really it's really unclear what was going on. I didn't know who these characters were. Like at the end, when we introduced to the girl, I'm still not really sure who she was or why she was there.
I mean, for a '60s movie, it was still pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Spawned one of the longest franchises of Hollywood history.
Yeah, no. Really confusing story aside, I did enjoy the film. It was fun. It was. Especially in the third act, I enjoyed it. I thought Sean Connery was great in the role, obviously, and I enjoyed Dr. No. What about you, Alex?
I enjoyed it. It was, as we said, it was pretty confusing. There wasn't much plot to go on until maybe the last 20, 25 minutes or so.
That's something else. It's all a build-up to this big finale where him and the Spectre guys try to launch the missile. Now, then it's kind of resolved in like a minute or two fist fight.
Yeah. Okay, well, since we do have to compare the films, let's move on to Skyfall real quick.
Right. In Skyfall, 007 was played by Daniel Craig as he must investigate an attack on MI6. The film sees the return of previously missing characters, Q, now played by Ben Winshaw, and Eve Moneypenny, now played by Naomi Harris. Judi Dench makes her 7th appearance as M, Bond's boss. Rory Kinnear makes his 2nd appearance as Tanner, M's assistant. Ralph Fiennes plays Mallory, and Javier Bardem plays Silva, the new Bond villain. Skyfall is Daniel Craig's 3rd film as James Bond.
Now, Ricky, you were very vocal about how much you love this movie when we were watching it.
I did. I really enjoyed this. I really loved this movie. I wasn't even a Bond fan. I saw, I think, GoldenEye, Casino Royale, and Quantum Solace before this. No, but because I really love Skyfall, though. Skyfall has a good script, a great musical score. It had nice character work, and I thought it really strong performances from Daniel Craig, Javier Bardem, and Judi Dench. But what really blew me away about this film was the directing. The film was directed by Sam Mendes, who won an Oscar for directing American Beauty, which is another great movie, by the way. In Skyfall, Mendes has a very distinct visual style, in which he shows the action scenes as more of like paintings, with beautiful colors in the background of many scenes. For from the scene where Bond is stalking the assassin through the dark office building, which is illuminated by a moving billboard across the street, to the final battle where the inferno from the ruins of Skyfall caused a beautiful yellow glow across the action that is taking place in the marshlands. Unrelated to all that artsy stuff, my favorite scene in the movie is at the Senate hearing when M is being, questioned. She recites a poem from her late husband, and as she's reciting the poem, he hears kind of epic music, and you see Silva shooting his way into the courtroom, and Bond running to save her. I thought that was a very powerful, epic moment, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it definitely upped the ante for drama.
Yes, yeah.
Now, you mentioned Mendes's particular visual style, which in American Beauty was there, but it's clearly much more developed in Skyfall.
Yeah. I've never seen anything quite like this before. It was really, really impressive. That's what made a lasting impact on me. One last thing I really love about this film is it does what a lot of great sequels do, and it takes characters that we've known for several films now and puts them in really new situations. This is in reference to the third act of the film, where Bond and M are on the run. In the last 6 Bond films, M is always behind some desk in some office building. So in this film, I really love seeing her, on the run in the middle of nowhere, setting up traps for the bad guys, even getting to shoot guns at the bad guys. Yeah, that's one of the many things I love about Skyfall.
Yeah, it had a very different feel to the earlier Daniel Craig films.
Yeah. What do you think about Skyfall overall, Alex?
I enjoyed it. The first time I watched it, I didn't really think the plot was that great. It didn't seem too smart to me, and it seemed very convenient. I use that word a lot on the show.
You do.
But watching it again after a 2-year break from seeing it, it was actually a lot smarter, and I picked up on a lot more of the James Bond lore than I had before. Nice.
So, yeah, I think because it's 50th anniversary, there was one solo reference in there for each of the previous 22 films. All right, so we both enjoyed both the Bond films. For Dr. No, Alex, out of 10, what would you give it?
8.
Nice, all right. I'll give it a 7.
Okay.
Which equals to 7.5, which is good. Yeah, I mean, it was obviously a very convoluted plot, but I think it was fun overall.
What about Skyfall? What would you give that?
Easily 10 out of 10. I love this film. What about you, Alex?
We're going to ignore your ratings now because they're always a 10 out of 10.
No, I gave Dr. No a 7. I gave Pixels a 5.
Well, there's always a 10 in one episode. I'm going to give Skyfall another 8.
Good.
They were both really good films.
All right, so that equals to 9 out of 10, which is great. And
right. As promised, we're going to compare the two films right after this commercial break.
Yeah, that'll be great. Oh, if you could bring it down here? Oh, that'll be awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah, shaken, not stirred. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
What, are you ordering yourself a drink?
What are you talking about? All right, welcome back to MSV Movie Mania.
So we're going to compare the two films now, see how in the past 50 years since James Bond has been introduced to Hollywood, how the overarching story and lore has kind of become the most expansive in cinema history. It
really has.
We're probably going to talk about how each actor, Sean Connery and Daniel Craig, brings this whole new feel to the James Bond character.
True.
So first, Ricky, what does James Bond mean to you? Like, what does he envelop?
James Bond, I guess to me, I mean, as I said, I'm more of a casual fan. I think James Bond is really, he's really like in movie cinema, he's the most definitive action hero. Mm-hmm. When you think of action and action heroes, he's really the first, he's always the first person that comes to mind for everyone. He's always cool, smart, charismatic. He likes, does things his way, and he always gets the girl and saves the world. And I think he really is just the definitive action hero of all time. What about you, Alex? What does James Bond mean to you?
Well, I can't say it because we're on TV, but
Oh, come on. Come
all
on,
right,
say it.
we'll see where this goes. All right, to me, plain and simple, James Bond has always been this perfect combination of class and bad.
Oh, Alex, that's too much language. Canceled in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Okay, so how do you think James Bond has changed from the 60s to now?
I think. Well, you know, you guys got a lot younger with Sean Connery. I'm kidding. He is. I think Daniel Craig represents a more serious Bond, I would say. What I love that my favorite part about Sean Connery is, I guess that's the fast talking. I was always very confident and cool and composed, and
The action sequences, he would just like flat.
yeah. The Daniel Craig film, not that this is a bad thing. Daniel Craig films, you see a more serious, emotional side of Bond, like in Casino Royale with his girlfriend. He almost leaves the service for her, and Skyfall, he's like defending one of the few people he cares about, and his boss. And I think Daniel Craig brings a more dramatic side to Bond, but not without sacrificing many of the great things that made the character great in the first place. Alex, what about you?
The biggest thing that I could kind of see is not much has changed in terms of this one aspect of the James Bond personality, where he's very old-fashioned in a lot of things that he does, especially when it comes to the female lead in the films. He's very old-fashioned with it. However, I feel like because today people get so offended so easily when it comes to films.
They do.
They're not allowed to get away with as much as they used to be in the earlier films.
That's true.
Because in the earlier films, some of the more inappropriate aspects of James Bond were implied rather than hidden.
Yes. Now, in the newer films, if it's something more controversial, like I think we were talking about the shower scene, Skyfall, I mean, that's gotten a lot of controversy, where if that was in the 60s, no one would have cared, because he did much worse in the 60s.
That is true. There was, in one of the later Bond films, he gets a little weird.
I think I know what scene you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you think, has James Bond, actors aside, as a character, has he become, I guess, more mature, more aware as a 00 agent?
I really haven't thought about it too much. Well, I think, Casino Royale is more of like a reboot of the series, so that's, so like Dr. No, he's kind of still getting started off. I guess the Bond we've seen Skyfall is more experienced than the Bond we've seen Dr. No. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Well, I mean, in Dr. No, he is, he's not the 007 that he is in the later films. He's still this fresh MI6 agent who's been bumped up to 00 status. And they even mention early on in the film that he messed up an earlier mission and got himself stuck in the hospital for months.
Now, you see, that's one of the conversations I wasn't able to follow.
Yeah.
But yes, actually now I think I remember that. Yeah.
Whereas in Skyfall, he's, I guess, much more confident in his own abilities during fight scenes, or even when it comes to this really sleek conversations he has with people.
Yes. And because I think in Casino Royale we see Daniel Craig Bond really being matured and learning his lessons. Quantum of Solace too. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, Sean Connery, James Bond, was very clever and very witty. Quick to respond with anything.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig's is much more clever, which to
True.
the point where the conversations are almost hard to follow.
Yeah, he's very straightforward. He is.
So you mentioned that Sean Connery was a little bit more casual.
I guess. Yeah, I would. I guess seem more confident. I guess. Not more in like a social setting way.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like Daniel Craig gives me that like very tense vibe.
I agree. Yeah.
Almost as if Daniel Craig doesn't want to play James Bond anymore.
We'll talk about that later on.
Yeah. Okay.
But I agree. Yeah, he's much more of a smooth talker in the original.
Yeah, I feel like he's gotten smoother since the original.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
It's more obvious that they're trying to play off James Bond as this like super clever dude who can do anything at this point.
Yeah, but he's still vulnerable. I mean, well, I can't even say that because he gets shot in the chest and
But he's
falls
not like,
off a 100-foot bridge.
It's not like Die Hard where he's just a walking tank at this point. He's
true.
He still got shot and he couldn't for half the film. He couldn't really shoot straight.
Yeah, true.
In Skyfall.
One other thing we were talking about earlier, I don't know how far we can go into this, is the women in the Bond films who, I guess you could say, I don't know, not always that well developed. They're mostly there, it's more for eye candy and anything else.
Do you think that their portrayals in the earlier Bond films were so controversial back then? Or is it just the way that we and society views the films now?
I think it's the
that
way
it's a bit weird for us.
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I think it's the way we society, as you said earlier, we are much more sensitive now. We get everyone. Everyone has to get mad at least one thing, So I think it's now. I think back then it was considered okay. A lot of the things they did. Now it would be met with a lot more controversy.
I think the names of some of the women in the earlier films might not have been too okay with people back then because they were very insinuating as to what their character was all about in the film.
Honey Rider,
and the first woman that James Bond meets in the entire franchise is Sylvia Trench. And they actually make a joke about pipes. So,
I don't think we're allowed to say the big bad name.
Yeah, before we go any farther with that, I think we're going to take a quick commercial break.
We should stop here. Before this gets much worse.
All right, well,
we'll keep it PG.
We might decide to come back, so we might see you in a few minutes.
Might.
Welcome back to MSV Movie Mania. We're going to move on to our trailer segment now, which...
Our first trailer will be, obviously, Spectre, the new film coming out, new Bond film coming out. It'll be the 24th Bond film. The plot is a cryptic message from Bond's past sends him on a trail to uncover a sinister organization, while the new M battles political forces to keep the Secret Service alive. Bond peels back the layer of deceit to reveal the terrible truth behind Spectre. Alex, what do you think of the new film?
I think it's going to return a bit more to the James Bond roots because Spectre is even mentioned in Dr. No.
Yeah.
So, I don't know too much about the new film, but
looks good.
I feel like you've read up more on it than I have.
All I know is that Sam Mendes, who directed Skyfall, is going to return to direct, which has me really excited because, as I said, I really love this direction in Skyfall. Mm-hmm. He's returning to direct, even though he previously said, after making Skyfall, that directing another Bond film made him want to throw up. So, and that brings me to my next point.
About Daniel Craig?
Daniel Craig, he said that he will hurt himself. After filming Spectre, he said he will hurt himself in a severe way if he ever has to play Bond again. He says he hates the character and he's incredibly misogynistic. And he said this, mind you, he just said this in the promotion for the film.
He still has one movie left, though, doesn't he?
Yes, he still has one more movie on his contract. So you're gonna get a statement. I didn't mean what I said. I do think this next Bond film will be a good time for me to leave because...
Do you think maybe it was just like his way of causing some controversy to get the film more promoted? Because I haven't really heard too many people talk about, the new James Bond movie coming out. It comes out November 6th, I believe. I think so. Yeah, I'm personally looking forward to it. I'm curious to see if it can live up to the standards set by Skyfall. I thought I think it should be pretty good. So this is not his last role as James Bond. Probably is second to last, unless he can do some work out the contract or something. But most likely it's just the second to last film. Mm-hmm. All right. So Spectre, November 6th. We'll be seeing it. And Ricky, you have one more trailer for us, right?
Yes, on 2 weeks later, on November 20th, we're going to be seeing the release of The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, which, if you don't know, what is the fourth and final film in the Hunger Games series. The plot of the new film is, as the War of Panem escalates to destruction of other districts by the capital, Katniss Everdeen, played by Jennifer Lawrence, the reluctant leader of the rebellion, must bring together an army against President Snow, while all she holds dear hangs in the balance. Alex, what do you think of the Hunger Games films?
I have not seen Mockingjay Part 1.
Right.
I was reluctant to see the first two films just because it's that
Teen sci-fi.
I feel like it would have been another Twilight setup.
Yeah.
Where it just like slowly gets worse and worse.
But what do you think of them?
I loved them when I saw them.
I
thought they were great.
Yeah, I love the. Yeah, me too. I thought the first one was really good. I absolutely loved the second. That one blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
The third one, you weren't missing out on much. It was needless.
They split the last book in half, right?
Yes, which was really pointless because in Mockingjay Part 1, the first hour and a half, nothing happens at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
sort of like Dr. No.
It was actually what?
Sort of like Dr. No.
Yeah, it was still, but having said that, it was still a good movie, I guess. Disappointing though. So I am looking see if Mockingjay Part 2 can be a kind of comeback and like a worthy finale to the series. Now, it's not just the end to the series. This film's also going to be the last movie of my all-time favorite actor, Philip Seymour Hoffman, who died last February. Mm-hmm. Have you seen a lot of his films, Hoffman?
I saw not too many. I saw more of his like weird comedy roles, his like side roles that he was in
Those
in the early '90s.
Yeah. Hoffman, he was in all the Hunger Games sequels. He died a week before filming of Part 2. So instead of using effects like they did with Paul Walker in Furious 7, they are going to be rewriting his scenes. I don't know. I think it's going to be sad just because this is goodbye for him, but. No, but because of that, and because I really love the first two films, I'm looking forward to Mockingjay Part 2 and seeing how it can end the series.
Yeah, so Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 comes out November 20th, correct?
Yep, that comes out November 20th.
Okay.
I think that might be all we have time for today.
I think that's about it.
Next week is our Christmas special. We are going to, it's our last episode till February because we're going on Christmas break. In preparation of the new film Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, which we are both dying to see.
Oh, you have no idea.
You have no idea.
Which, just to remind you, I have opening night tickets, and you don't. Continue.
I don't like you. All right. Until we will see the film. Why do you have to do this to me? I mean, okay.
Because it's fun.
For our Christmas episode, we will be doing Star Wars, our 1-hour Christmas special.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
I know you have opinions. You got to hold them until next week because that really is all we have time for.
I know.
Until next time.
Until next time.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Costa. Ricky Costa. Hello. My name is Costa. Ricky Costa.
I'm Alex. I messed that up.
Come on. You have one job.